Alright, so I've laid out all the parts. They're pretty much all numbered, and I've matched everything together according to the directions here. By process of elimination, I am calling this piece 24. It's had its number rubbed off if it was there in the first place. And the directions here call for 4 of each. We've got 4 for 25 and 3 for 24. This is pretty much an exact match, so we'll be putting it there. 59 and 60, 57, 55. Down here we've got parts number 108 and 14. These are a match as far as the pins go, so I'm going to expect that this one is 108. Up here we've got 52 and 69. We have 52 there. 69 is the fire extinguisher. Don't know what that far side wall is. It could be part 53. I'll check that out when we flip the page over and look at some other parts of the directions. 58 and 56 match over here. So what I am going to do is put a few of these parts together, I think. And what I'll do to keep them tagged is to get a little piece of tape and put those on there so I know what step and what parts they are and they don't get confused down the line. So once these are together, they'll all be sitting in line waiting to get painted, and we'll deal with that in another session. So let me put the camera down and we'll set up a little glue. So I'm going to start with the easy ones here, 24 and 25, just because there's a bunch of those that go together. The difference between super glue and plastic cement glue is that plastic cement glue will actually weld the parts together. Super glue is not quite so good like that. It creates certainly a bond that's near indestructible, but when you subject the parts to a certain torquing, you can easily pull them apart, whereas with cement you pretty much have to rip them apart in the end. One other tool I did not mention in the tool video, I think, if I've got some around, I hope. Zap-A-Gap makes a super glue, and they also make these little extenders here that just drop out a little bead of glue at a time. So I'm going to be using one of these to get some really fine application of the glue. You can see here that was together for a few seconds and it did not bond. So another tool we'll be using is the clamps that were mentioned in the tool set. I'll definitely be needing a bunch of these, and fortunately I've got a bunch of them. So basically the work that I do now will be limited to the amount of clamps that I've got to hold the parts together. And after a few minutes the parts will be in pretty good shape as far as holding together, so we should be able to move on and work in a cycle as we go. There, so that's all the small and medium ones. So I'm putting these together, and I really should have done a better test fit first. There's definitely a gap up here, little gap down there, and when you press on those ends there's a bit of gap in the middle. So what I'm going to do here, just bead out the slightest amount, all up in there, over here. The back won't matter so much because it is the back. We'll do a little streaking here to get some cross hatching going on, so when these parts go together they'll have space for the glue to flow into. And I'm going to use one of the stronger clamps on this little delicate bit up here. Let's go with a smaller one for the weight. There we go. Put a bigger one on the middle here. And a smaller one at the bottom. Now let's put on a couple. There we go. So that should hold these parts together fairly well. Let's actually put a couple more on here. So there's a heck of a lot of clamps right there, and I can probably trim those down as we go. So let's go with unmarked part 24, suspected part 24. Let's make sure it fits together with 25 here. I'm not totally confident about this, so let's put it aside and get a regular 24. It looks like might have to do a little filing down on the inside here, and I said I was going to do that after I cut the parts loose. This fits better than the other one. In some cases there's some pour stubs in here, if those are showing off in the light. So we'll just get a fairly gentle file. The number itself could also be causing the parts to not go together quite so well. There's definitely some flash on these pour stubs. So all that will have to go away. Let's get a slightly stronger file since this is an interior of a piece. Much better, much faster. Now, in a lot of cases with super glue, the thicker it is, the longer it takes to cure, so you really only need a very small amount. So to avoid accidents near any edges, definitely rub up any that you get right off the bat, because that will be a problem later to get rid of. And maybe we can get away with fewer of these than lots of them. I definitely want this outer edge to be clamped really well, because that will be the visible part. I'm not so worried about the back here. As long as that has a good seam along it, it should be good. Let's take a look at this here. So a few minutes later, this definitely has a good clamp, but we'll leave these on for a little while longer. Like on this side here, there's a bit of a gap, but it's not showing up on the front side at all. But what I will do is just take a little bit of glue and drop it in there. Another trick you can do for glue is if you got yourself a piece of plastic, spill some out and then use the tip of your X-Acto blade to just bead some in the line. This is probably the most precise way you can do it. The capillary action should draw all the glue inside the part. Wipe your blade off and everything should be good after that.